Greeting from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling inside, news, and reviews on a daily basis. Tonight is night 2 of the WWE Draft, with names such as Brock Lesnar, Rhea Ripley, and Seth Rollins left to be drafted. Additionally, today is Mailbag Monday here on the podcast, where we answer your questions that you have submitted via our Instagram at Wrestling Republic story. And joining me to discuss all of this, we have firstly the head of reviews, Coby Galenzoski. How are you, Coby?
After yesterday's travesty of Sunday Fun Day, I'm glad I'm on the tail end of my 5-day streak of doing the daily. At the end of the day, I'm sitting here and I hear you say some names that are a part of the draft. And before we get into the draft later on, you are disrespecting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn being the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. My
Canadians
fellow
not
Canadians.
Oh, gosh. And yeah, I mean, whoever loses Sunday Fun Day every week, they're just never happy, are they? But talking about Sunday Fun Day, a past winner of Sunday Fun Day is also joining us here today. Chaos, how are you, Chaos?
Oh, yes. Wait. First off, is this live? Are we on?
Yes, we're live this time.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you for having me here for Monday Fun Day? Mailbag Monday. That's the one. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Gonna be good. Don't worry, Coby. You'll have this. You will be able to taste the sweet nectar of winning sooner or later. But other than that, let's get straight to it.
I won my first time there. Don't worry.
Fair dues. Okay, cool. 2 for 2.
Yes. We've got a lot to get into, and like Chaos just touched upon, we actually went live about a couple of minutes ago. Before we went live, and I did the intro, and I figured out we were not live, so we had to rerun it. But we're here now, and we are live. We're all
talking to himself. It was hilarious. It was good. Go on.
But yeah, anyway, the first thing is we're going to be taking some questions that you guys have sent in on the Wrestling Republic Instagram story. And the first one is from Jacob. And Jacob is asking us if we think WWE are going to rename the Women's Championships if Rhea Ripley gets drafted to Raw tonight, meaning, of course, the SmackDown and Raw have swapped once again, which puts them in a really bad situation. And Thomas.blz is also asking us if WWE are planning to redesign any other titles in the near future. And yeah, if you want to know my honest opinion, I think WWE should just get rid of the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship names and give them their own name, such as the World Women's Championship, the WWE Universal Women's Championship, the WWE Global Women's Championship. I don't know, right? They love all these weird different words. Just name them something, not Raw, SmackDown. I've hated it from the start. It makes no sense having them be eligible for the draft if the championships can switch brands. We saw in 2021 how much of a mess it was when Becky and Charlotte switched the belts over, and then it caused real life beef between the two. It was ridiculous then, and it's ridiculous now if they redo it. Of course, Bianca Belair on SmackDown. We know that after Friday night's draft. So yeah, I honestly think the only way forward now, unless Bianca Belair suddenly does an open challenge to that and loses, which I would not be happy about considering it's been over a year reign. But unless something like that happens, I think you've got to rename the championships. And truthfully, I think that's the right thing to do. Give them both a unique design. That'd be, quite sick, because I'm a big fan. I've said it over and over and over again. Some people don't like the take, but I'm a big fan of the WWE Championship belt. I think marketing-wise, it's perfect. I think it looks really good. But what I don't like about it is the fact it's been copied for the Universal and both women's. That's what I don't like about it. It feels overused. So yes, I'd very much like it if they just scrap those, not scrap the belts, but scrap the designs and rename them. I think that would be the way forward to do it. But we're going to now move on to Chaos. Chaos, do you think they should rename the titles?
I'm not really fussed about the renaming. I'm more concerned about definitely a redesign is more needed, because in terms of renaming, it all depends on what they're going to do with if somehow Rhea Ripley does go to Raw, or they might do some weird thing where they both end up on the same show, and then that's when, remember, we had that tease where it was Rhea and Bianca. Clearly they're going to fight each other. Are they going to hold the titles? And the only time they're going to probably face each other is what, maybe Survivor Series. But clearly they're doing something there. Are they going to merge them and do one big title for them to bounce across both brands? But at the same time, there was right now it's all about people having long title reigns right now. So clearly they have a lot of stock in Bianca. I feel like Bianca shouldn't lose it until someone cashes in on her with the Money in the Bank briefcase. But yeah, it's a weird one. I'm not really fussed about the renaming. The Raw and SmackDown thing, I've never been fussed about it. I just don't want them to do the same, like the swapsies thing. Just give them the belt, and then that's it. They continue their reign as SmackDown or Raw Women's Champion, respectively. And then redesign them. They're already done. They're already given us a new championship. So let's carry on that. So I can't really say for sure until we see the outcome out of after Monday Night Raw. Because I did not expect them to swap Bianca to SmackDown, but at the same time, she is running out of opponents on Raw, so I get that. But there's obviously most of the beef with that Rhea Ripley has, along with the Judgment Day. A majority of them is on SmackDown more than Raw. So it's a really weird situation. We have to wait until the outcome in here. But I'm more concerned about a redesign more than a renaming. I don't think it's that bad.
The thing that I'm not personally a big fan of is if they just switch the names around. Like I think, doesn't it just feel a bit weird to you if the Raw title suddenly became the SmackDown title, Chaos?
Well, they've done it already, didn't they?
They've done it already, but it just felt stupid then, and it's just
right. They handled it poorly. The whole trading thing. There's no need for us to have a visual. Like, it's just carry on the reign. It's just at the end of the day, it's just a show. So, and they can mess up. They can modify their records as long as they want. They can just say that they had they ain't gonna end Bianca's one and say, no, she was Raw champion for 300 and plus days, and now she's SmackDown champion. They're still gonna carry on that the amount of days that she's been champion. So I'm not really fussed about that, really. So that's why I don't think the Raw and SmackDown name really matters. Like, both shows need their own individual champions. That's what I think. That's what I can really say, really. Yeah.
Well, what about you then, Coby? Do you think that they do need a rename, or is it just switch the names over, SmackDown, Raw, switch the names, and just let it happen? What do you think, Coby?
I said this on Friday that the title swap is such a bad idea, and the fact that Bianca Belair was drafted to SmackDown shows it's just like that's very much a possibility, and I very much believe that. I don't think Triple H would want to do that type of thing where it puts us in a confusion where, I mean, not Rhea Ripley, but Bianca Belair is in such a historical Raw Women's Championship reign, and you're going to end it or do something to switch it. And like, that makes no sense to me. That disrespects Bianca in a way that I understand. I haven't been a fan of the reign, but I understand I've been a fan of the work and the fact that she's a workhorse. I almost would be, I'd be sold on her trying to make it the workhorse championship, like a women's IC title. But at the end of the day, I think that should almost be given to in the position of the performer. That we see it on TV, it should play out as them naming it something else. I like that idea. I don't want to switch it. I think a redesign doesn't necessarily need to happen. Obviously, you can make them different, because if you're going to give them different titles like the World or the WWE Women's Championship and something like that, if you're going to change them to where, although the only thing they aren't similar in is the color, at the end of the day, they should look different. And I mean, in general, I think the tag team championships do need a redesign. I think I would put more money in those needing a redesign more than the women's championship needing a redesign. And I mean, at the end of the day, I just think the title swap's such a bad idea if that's the direction they go. It is. If Rhea Ripley goes to SmackDown and we see some form of unification, and then Triple H has to do the same thing, like, well,
oh my gosh,
opportunities happen, and this happened in SmackDown where Monday Night Raw gets a new championship.
Well, what are you going to call the one which is unified then? The SmackDown versus Raw Championship.
I think they would make it the unified WWE Women's Championship.
Yeah, you probably.
It'd be something along, or the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, or not Universal, undisputed WWE Women's Championship, something along those lines. But then it's like you're putting yourself in the same position as you did with Roman. Roman has had both brands' titles, and then ones without it. Well, Raw would need some form of women's title. They might have the women's tag titles by the end of the night, but at the end of the day, I mean, they would need a top title. Whether or not that's a IC title, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think you have room for it, and if you make it make sense, wrestling fans aren't gonna hate it. But it's still stupid to go in that direction of why are these champions switching brands?
Yeah.
The draft is supposed to be that shuffle that refreshes the women's all divisions, not just the women's division at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, a title unification is a possibility. Could happen if Rhea and the Judgment Day are drafted to SmackDown tonight, which we'll get into, our thoughts on it in a minute. But yeah, honestly, it's just kind of a bit embarrassing if they do that and then Triple H just to come out on Raw again to be like, well, we want a fighting champion here on Raw, so here's a new belt. It's a bit comedic. And especially if you were going to go down that route, I think you'd have to at least do it where it would be the opposite way. So both champions would be on Raw and it'd be unified on Raw, and then the SmackDown has the new women's champion. As otherwise, Raw is just the brand with all the new titles. If I was the USA Network, I don't know how I'd feel about that. But I do agree that's a possibility. It's also very much still a possibility they do just switch belts, which, I'm not a fan of, but who knows? Maybe they will rename the titles, give them beautiful new redesigns. But something which you touched upon there, Coby, is that the Tag Team Championship belts, and of course, they currently just plain Raw and SmackDown one. They don't look that great, to be honest. I'm saying, to be honest, everybody thinks that it's a universal thought that they're not that great.
They used to be the penny belts. Well, I mean, the Raw was the penny belts until they gave them the red and silver, the red strap and silver plates.
I mean, the red one, I think, actually does look slightly better than what was the penny belt. But in recent, I mean, come on, they could do way better, realistically. They could design a far better belt.
I mean, how long have they've been inactive? They've been like the PG, like early PG era, isn't it? So, yeah.
Very early. 2020?
The penny belts were 2011, I think.
Oh wow!
I remember because I think Kofi and Evan Bourne had them at some point.
Yeah, you're right. Sure. Yeah.
Because the penny belts were just the black and the red. I guess the copper looking plate. That's why we call them the penny belts. But then the SmackDown got them in the 2016 draft, and then the Bar got the silver red strap.
Yeah.
In that draft is after the SmackDown champs were created.
Yeah, it's lazy designing. It truly is to be the same. So I am hoping. And Clark Taylor, the co-host of this podcast on his day off today, is still working here in the comments, and he is saying, can we please get good tag belts, please? Yes, honestly, I'd really like for...
I mean, they're good now. I want great tag belts.
Oh, they're not good now. Come on.
You are plug-in, Coby, man.
Good's good. Like, good's... Good can be put in quotations.
We've
got
Clark in the comments going, they're too circular. That's the issue. Clark hates circles. He hates maths and he hates circles. That's what you need to know about Clark. But they need to redesign those. And who knows, maybe Karen and Sammy get branded the same brand tonight. They unify the tag team belts and they introduce new tag belts again on the other brand. So perhaps, Coby, your unification theory is right. And they're going to unify all the titles and then bring in new titles. And Triple H is going to be there every single week, just like Tony Khan, creating not new titles, but having a huge announcement, which is a new title.
Hopefully it doesn't look like there's a the big WWE logo doesn't look like there's a big prostate on the middle of it. So yeah, hopefully look a bit better than the World Championship. I'm just saying.
I love the World Championship.
It looks like a big hanging out prostate.
It is the best belt in wrestling now.
It looks like a hemorrhoid about to burst. That's what it looks like. But fair enough.
I'm gonna be honest,
try to get that image out of your head. But yeah, carry on.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna skip from that take from you, Coby. You think it's the best championship design in wrestling now?
Yeah, I mean WWE doesn't have. I mean the UK belt's defunct. Yeah, which that was my favorite.
I prefer the WWE Championship along with.
I mean, as a belt, it's too plain, but I understand it. It's a good belt, a decently looking belt. I think this has the pizzazz that makes it look good.
I mean,
the only other one you could consider is the AEW, and then
I like the AEW.
I think it is beat.
And we've got Clark Taylor in the comments saying, "Coby, that is so they're so horrible. They look like somebody taped a coin to a leather strap." Oh gosh, well, let's get away from titles here and let's talk about something embarrassing. Because let me get it up on my phone. Who asked? Because I can't actually remember. But somebody, and here it is. Neo Martin _97 is asking, what's the most awkward or embarrassing moment you've ever felt watching wrestling? And for me, it's got to be, whenever bra and panties matches were on TV and your mum would walk in. That's pretty damn embarrassing. It is quite hard to beat that. I mean,
it's not really embarrassing. At least it's girls doing, you know what? Carry on.
I felt embarrassed if my mum would walk in. I was like, oh no. And I remember, I think Paige at one point licked her hand or something in the ring, and my mum never watched wrestling with me. My mum walked in and started watching while she licked her hand or something like that.
She licked someone? Natalia? Yeah, she was licking Natalia.
Oh, that's it, Natalia. That's it. She licked Natalia. And my mum walked in as that was happening, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just awkward. But Chaos, I'll head to you next. What is the moment you felt most embarrassed ever watching wrestling?
Man, I was scratching my head because, let's be honest. WWE, not just WWE, just wrestling in general is a complete. It's carnage and it's so carny. It's unreal. But the first thing that I had to really dig in, and I was just like, the first thing I definitely remember that will always be burning in my head, and I was just like, why am I watching this? And it has to be Katie Vick, the Katie Vick storyline, with Triple H went into like a funeral home and made love to a mannequin. I was just like, how is this so far away from wrestling as I'm pretty sure not even Vince Russo could come up with this kind of stuff. It was so out there. And the thing is, I loved obviously their storylines back then. The Ruthless Aggression eras, they were good, but this one was just so far out. I just can't wrap my head around it. And I was watching that with my friend who was really non-wrestling. He was, and he was some typical ones that saying, wrestling's fake, right? And I was obviously trying to defend it. And in all episodes, he gets to watch this as his first entry into watching wrestling. I try to get him into it, and he sees this grown-ass man in a cane mask making love to a mannequin in a casket. Yeah, that's definitely my most embarrassing, cringing moment because. I mean, what am I doing with my life? I could be a doctor or anything. No, I'm watching people make love to a mannequin. So yeah, that is my most embarrassing moment in wrestling that I've endured.
That one is about. Out of all the episodes you could introduce your friend to, that is bad. But we got Clark Taylor again in the comments saying his most embarrassing moment is when he won his own Royal Rumble pool. At his own party. I think that was last year.
You fixed that, bro.
Clark does a betting pool or type of thing. Well, it's not betting, but I think it's just they draw some. I can't remember what it is. But Clark won it. And he won all his guests' money. Yeah.
And he ran.
That is a bit awful.
No, I can attest to Clark. He gave the money.
I know. I'm
Okay,
just trying to.
okay, cool.
I'm playing
Money
along.
was given back. But Coby, what's your most embarrassing moment watching wrestling?
I don't know if this necessarily has a distinct value, but I think this happened years before. Like in the last how many years before COVID, we've seen a lot of like very bad segments.
Yeah.
I mean, one that instantly comes to mind is Lashley's sisters.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Which is bad, but I mean, overall, it was just the very much theme that this is supposed to be entertainment, and we're getting weird things like the Katie Vick, like Lashley's sisters, like I think
Old day.
I didn't necessarily hate it, but I think everyone hated the this is your life for Bailey that Alexa did.
Sorry,
that was
rubbish.
That I remember people hated that, and then there was like, oh, the X, and like it's a matter of this is supposed to be entertainment, and then people see it and it's like, how are you entertained by that? And it's like, I don't even have an answer to this. And at the end of the day, that's when it's like, sometimes it's like, yeah, I don't have an answer for that. And it is hard to say that type of stuff when some of the entertainment aspect is just so bad like that. So
yeah,
it's more of a general statement, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to defend pro wrestling. Like Chaos said, when you try and get your friends to watch, you're like, come on, yes, it's fake, but it's entertaining, all that stuff. And then you make them sit down, and yeah, Vince McMahon's doing it with a mannequin. It's difficult. Or Bobby Lashley's sisters. It's yeah. I mean, I am cringing just listening to some of this. So I've got to move on from this segment. I've got to move on, and we're going to move on to the WWE Draft because, of course, night 1 was last Friday night on SmackDown, but night 2 is tonight on Monday Night Raw. And here are the people who are available tonight. Akira Tozawa.
Top pick.
Alpha Academy. Los Lotharios. Oscar. Austin Theory. Baron Corbin. Braun Strowman and Ricochet. Brock Lesnar. Bronson Reed. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Charlotte Flair. Dana Brooke. Elias. Emma, Johnny Gargano, The Judgment Day, Karrion Kross, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the Latino World Order, which is Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, and Zelina Vega, so that's one hell of a pick, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Nikki Cross, Piper Niven, Rhea Ripley, Rick Boogs, Riddick Moss, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Seth freaking Rollins, Shotzi Blackheart, Tamina, Tegan Nox, the Brawling Brutes, the New Day, the Usos, Trish Stratus, and Xia Li. And no, I didn't. Did I? I did. I skipped over LA Knight.
Well, like Cody, this is like, come on, man. Like, what is this? What is this? Keep in mind, he's missing Kevin and Sami.
Against LA Knight continues. No, that wasn't deliberate. That was a pure accident. But yes, honestly, there's a lot of names left to be drafted tonight. And of course, the big question going into the draft, no matter what the draft is, no matter when the draft is, it's always who's going to be the first round. So we're going to go around now talking about who are our first round draft picks, and I'm going to kick things off. I think Raw, because I presume Raw are going to have the first draft pick tonight because SmackDown had it on Friday. I think Raw are going to start it off, and they are going to be worried that they don't have a women's champion. They're not going to want SmackDown to take their women's champion and then have both. Sorry, they already taken their women's champion. They're not going to want SmackDown to take Rhea Ripley. Otherwise, SmackDown will have both women's champions. So I think the number one priority for Monday Night Raw will be Rhea Ripley. So I think the first pick of tonight's draft will be Rhea Ripley. I think then SmackDown will respond by taking Seth Rollins. And I don't want Seth Rollins to go to SmackDown. I think it's a terrible idea for him to go to SmackDown. But I just have this feeling that they're sending him to SmackDown. But then I think Raw are going to respond with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. before then SmackDown finish off the first round of the draft by taking Charlotte Flair. In the first pick of the next round after that, I think Brock Lesnar's going to get drafted. But Coby Galenzoski, what do you think?
As I was just about to say that there's flaws in Ben Allison's logic about Seth Rollins.
Totally.
We know about the insight, and they've made this apparent. Seth Rollins is married to Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch just drafted.
It is Raw. A good point.
I do not believe they're going to split that couple up. At the end of the day, they've always made that like a truth that they stand by of saying these people aren't going to be split up. These couples are going to stay together and stay on the same brand. So that's why I personally do believe Seth Rollins is going to be the first pick in the draft. He is by far one of the most valuable names on there. I think there's people like Kevin and Sami that could take that spot to SmackDown. Obviously, you don't want them to go to SmackDown because of the bloodline. But even then, they might go to Raw, and then the Usos might come to Raw as well. I don't know the general direction for that, but I do think there's Seth. I do think Rhea Ripley has to be first round as well. We saw Bianca Belair go in that direction. In the direction of going to SmackDown, I think Rhea has to come to Raw, or stay at Raw. Because, I mean, however you view it, as they're all eligible to be moved or they're not assigned to a brand yet, whether you like it or not, there's that. I think Kevin and Sami have to be drafted together as a tag team. I don't necessarily know if they go to SmackDown or Raw. I think they do go to Raw at the end of the day because they want some top champions on Raw. I think another top pick could be Charlotte Flair. And we kind of saw it on SmackDown that they put Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch in that top spot of the first round.
So I
think Charlotte Flair could be that. If I had to give an order, I think it's Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, Kevin Sami going to.
That's the thing. That is
it's very tough in that sense. I very much think a name like Brock Lesnar is going to be in the same boat as Edge. I don't think Brock goes first round. He very well has the potential to go first round, but so did Edge. And I think there's bigger fish to fry at that case, or at least more important, because we don't know how long Brock actually has left in the company. Same for Edge, which is interesting that they were both even available. Same for Trish Stratus. She's available in the draft. And I looked this up as an interesting statistic. Trish Stratus is available in a WWE draft for the very first time since the original 2002 WWE draft. I found that very interesting from the fact that it's like Trish is available 21 years later. It's just shocking.
That is a crazy stat. Statman Coby here. But Coby, my only issue is, and it's a good point you made, of course, the sensible thing to do is to, of course, keep Rhea on Raw. But I don't understand how WWE could justify taking Charlotte ahead of Rhea. And yes, I know you could say because she's held it a lot more and all that. But Rhea Ripley's a champion. That would mean SmackDown have both championships. How much of a bragging right would that be on Monday Night Raw?
I think it's a bragging right, but it also depends on and see, this is where WWE's failing to sell us on the draft. I need to see people, whether it's a team of people who work for Raw and work for SmackDown, where they are deciding this, because not only do I need to be sold on that pick, I can see it be happening, but I need to be sold on it. Like you said, we need to be sold on the idea that Charlotte Flair should go before Rhea Ripley, a current champion. I can see it happening, but we need to be sold on that idea. If you wanted, you could sell it as a future opponent for Bianca Belair, and if it was SmackDown and Adam Pearce was the guy who was like, this is someone I want to see face Bianca Belair in such a vital time for her championship reign. Sell us on that fact, and you're fine. At the end of the day, they haven't sold us on anything other than the fact that Cody is the same value as Roman Reigns right now. Like it's weird. Drew McIntyre is somehow a third round pick. Imperium went past it.
That was
I
a weird
don't
one.
know.
But
There's some things that don't add up.
Here's my question for you, Coby. Right? Yesterday, you tried to put the rooms where they were discussing where they were going Raw and SmackDown, where they were celebrating what picks they'd get, and they were discussing it, which gave it a realistic feeling. You tried to put that in wrestling hell
because it has never been executed right.
Fair enough. Yes.
I fully believe you can do that where you have, like I said, you have teams. If it was Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, whatever, and you had both sides and they're talking, and I'd like if it was more of a draft special, I'd like to see them talking about that. I'd like to see after the first round, oh, did you see we got Roman Reigns? Congratulations, we did this. Sell us on the fact that these are important to the WWE officials that work for their brand, even though it's genuinely the same producers each show. At the end of the day, sell me on that fact. I believe the war rooms can be done very effectively, but they haven't.
Oh, okay.
That's what I believe.
Okay, yeah. No, I do 110% agree with you there, Coby. But Chaos, what are your predictions for the first round of tonight's WWE Draft?
Boy, obviously, I've always brought it down to the fact that it's all down to the popularity. The first SmackDown's draft was quite visually clear, and then where they actually position people on their card, in their internal card. Sure, obviously you say that Drew McIntyre is a top draw, but he has not been in the top scene since last year September, since the Clash of the Castle. He's always been a mid-card person. He's going for mid-card titles. So it kind of makes sense that he goes for, he was in round 3. That's my rebuttal to what you said about regarding Drew McIntyre. Same as how with obviously Edge he's been in a high-profile feud, a long-standing high-profile feud. And Imperium, they've always been in very memorable matches. So I understand. So that's how I see it. How they judge these, or how big the demand is there for the wrestlers. So going into what I think about who is going to go in the first round, I definitely think that Brock Lesnar is going to be in there. He'll be in the first round, probably second, going to Raw. I'll say also. I'm also looking at the list whilst I'm doing it. Seth Rollins has to be on. Seth Rollins definitely has to be. If he is pretty much the clear favorite, or one of the favorites to win the World Heavyweight Championship, he should definitely be a first draft pick, I think. So he'll be up there, staying on Raw as well. Then they're probably going to throw some random one in there, and they have to put some Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens stay in. No, that'll make them 3 picks. Probably might have to save them on the second one. But Charlotte Flair is a decent one. Probably going to stay. I would say she stays on SmackDown. I'd say, and because she'll be a good challenge for Bianca as well. They need so have they faced each other? Have they? I don't even know. Maybe they haven't fought each other.
Bianca and Charlotte? Is that the question? Yeah. They fought each other one time on Raw in 2021.
Oh, come on. Yeah, rivalry right there. There you go.
Not a full-on big pay-per-view, big rivalry.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
It had the potential to be one of the Mania matches this year, and then Charlotte won a title, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So I think Charlotte Flair should stay on SmackDown, especially if she ain't gonna come back to Titan anytime soon. And I'd say probably put the Judgment Day on SmackDown. I mean, I think they've done everything on Raw. And then obviously Rhea Ripley can obviously be the one, maybe even the floater, maybe even though she's assigned to Raw, but these shows don't really mean anything. She can easily just go and assist there whenever they need to.
Except they are this time. There's going to be once the transfers take place, there's nobody's appearing on the other show. Which is
we'll see.
We'll see. They're going to have to do something with the titles.
We will see. We'll see. If the ratings plunge, they will definitely go past that. But we'll see. But those are my picks in the first round at least.
Yeah, and I mean that's something we've not really taken into account yet. These transfers, which Triple H mentioned, and it was really he mentioned it's really in passing, and he was like, "Hang on, what transfers now?" So it seems that once the draft's up, we're going to get some transfers, something like that. So, I mean, people, I guess, could still switch brands. Maybe the Cody thing was an entire swerve, and he's going to go to SmackDown for maybe Raw to try and get Rhea Ripley back, so they get one of their or Bianca Belair back, so they have a champion. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe they'll swap Bianca for Cody or something like that. It's a weird one. Why after a draft they're doing transfers? If that is the case, maybe Triple H misspoke, but I doubt it. It was a weird one. And Clark saying trades. No, Triple H said transfers. Transfers was the word Triple H used. Yeah, it's a weird one. But Chaos, do you have a feeling that they're going to do any NXT call-ups tonight? And if so, who do you think they're going to call up?
Oh yeah, 100%. They have to do. One of my predictions came true. Zoe Stark, she got drafted as well, so that was very good. I still would like Roxanne Perez to come up. I think she's definitely more than ready, 100% more than ready. I'm not too sold on Braun Breaker. I think he still needs a bit more time in the oven, especially with this heel run. I think when he comes up, there's more than likely he's going to be a baby face. So yeah, I think he needs to still stay down there. Roxanne Perez, Toxic Attraction, I think definitely. I think they're ready to come up.
But they're not together anymore.
Sorry?
They're not together anymore.
Sorry, they're not together, but I mean them as separate. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, apologies. No one else that's really standing out. Because like there's people like Tony D'Angelo and stuff, but the characters are too wacky to be on WWE, so like on the main roster. So, but yeah, my main pick definitely is Roxanne Perez. I was very surprised that they brought up Indy Hartwell. So it makes me wonder what they're gonna do with the NXT Women's Championship. But yeah, I'd say Roxanne Perez and the two former members of Toxic Attraction. I don't know much about the male side. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, here's the thing, right?
No, sorry. I just saw the comments. Nikita Lyons, no, she needs time.
Clark Taylor is in the comments here on YouTube saying Nikita Lyons, Chaos, she needs to be called up. Chaos,
it would also be very much the same situation as she, as Indy Hartwell is Indy's potentially injured, out for a long time.
Yeah, she's
injured. Nikita's still recovering as well.
Yeah,
she probably won't be good until probably the fall. That'd be the biggest waste of a pick if I've ever seen it.
I interrupted you, Ben. So please continue.
But yeah, here's what you just touched upon, Chaos. Of course, they drafted both the NXT champion and the NXT Women's Tag Team champions. The NXT Women's Tag Team champions are on in a match for the titles this Wednesday on NXT. So presumably they'll lose. They shouldn't lose, but it's Tuesday. They shouldn't lose, but they probably will. But as far as Indy Hartwell goes, I think he'll be a relinquish of the title because of the injury anyway. And like Coby touched upon the other day, maybe it's a waste of a pick. Although there is some people who are speculating she could be back next month, Indy Hartwell. So that might actually not be as long as we initially feared. But Coby, you are the NXT guy here. Who do you think is getting called up tonight?
And I mean, I'm pretty sure I said this on Saturday that I like the idea that the picks were from left field and they were different. And not different, but they were people we did not expect. As much as everyone agreed with the fact that Indy Hartwell deserved to be on the main roster, people have been saying that for 8 months, since like October, and Candice LeRae returned. At the end of the day, I think it's interesting. The women's tag titles personally should not switch hands tomorrow. I do think they deserve to at least appear as champions on SmackDown once because they build them as the current champions, and that makes it seem like they're less important if you build. And now you draft them as the champions, and before they show up, not. That doesn't add up to me, and I'm a big math guy. That's where I come from. At the end of the day, I 100% agree. I don't think Braun Breaker's in the position of where he should be called up yet. I think this heel run needs to cook. I mean, there's people like that saying, let him cook. I think it needs to cook in the oven. I think it needs to be entertaining. I don't necessarily know what happens at Battlegrounds, because I know Battleground is essentially going to be Carmelo Hayes Braun Breaker 2. I'm interested in the match as far as I know. I mean, I agree with the picks like JD McDonough being called back up, not back up. Apollo's the one being called back up. Zoe Stark is interesting. She didn't win the NXT Women's Champion, but I think she has the ability to probably work with anyone on a roster and make them look good and be that person of how can I make the people like the other person better. And I want to give that almost take to Dax Harwood from one of his early podcasts where he said, as a heel, you're supposed to make the fans like the face more. That's the job. I think Zoe Stark is very much talented at that. For other NXT picks, I could see Dragunov being a contender. I could see Tyler Bate being a contender. I was joking, what are they going to bring up? Wesley and Noam Dar because they just brought both women's championship, and I don't think they're going to bring up Carmelo yet. As a joke, I mean, it'd be funny to see, but it'd be interesting.
It'd be awful for NXT.
It would. I don't think Dragon Lee gets caught up yet. Although I think he is in a great position in the card. I mean, Tyler Bate, Ilya Dragunov. I think Axioms could be a good pick if they really want to put their money in it. And keep in mind, the LWO is a thing. They could really go with it because he is Spanish.
What about Ikeman Jiro? As he's been there for a while now, and I'm not really heard much.
I think he's not staying. Ikeman Jiro. I unless you're really wanting a tag team partner for Akira Tozawa, like I don't think he's talented, but he's nothing. Like he did jacket time with Kushida. Yeah. He hasn't done anything. I think he got recently injured. Not recently. He's been injured for a long time. And I don't think he's going to stay much longer past his contract, the remainder of his contract.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
If I'm incredibly being honest.
Yeah. No, that does make a lot of sense there. But in terms of who I think they could call up, Coby, I think you said two names who I very much think could and should, and that is Tyler Bate. Well, firstly, Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate is somebody who's been in WWE now for quite a few years. He was the NXT UK Championship at only 19. He's somebody very, very talented, and I think he's kind of just stagnant in NXT, to be brutally honest. I think calling up to the main roster and do something with him. I hope they don't do a Pete Dunne situation because he was in a similar boat where he's been in WWE since he was fairly young, and then they've just not done much with him. I get maybe there's something long term, but I think like I'm gonna be honest, I think they're still dragging it. So I hope Tyler Bate comes up, and I hope that he's straight away up a mid card, and hopefully they can see if they can push him to be like a top underdog for years to come. Who knows? Because he's ridiculously talented in the ring. And the other one, of course, is Dragunov. I don't actually know how old Dragunov is now, but I mean, I would not waste any more time before bringing him up because he is he's very, 29. Very talented. 29. So yes, perfect time to bring him up. Bring him up now, and he'll have a good decade in WWE to just absolutely kill it. But yeah, there's quite a few names they could bring up. We've touched upon most of them. But here's the thing, right? We made our predictions on the call-ups on Friday's show, and we were just completely wrong. Like none of us, we didn't expect Indy Hartwell, we didn't expect the NXT Women's Championships. Yeah. I think Coby did say JD McDonough, but apart from that, we were completely off on our picks. So if it's the same tonight, then well, we're all wrong. But thank you guys for watching the show. We're coming towards the end of it now. I'm going to be taking a few days off. But tomorrow, Clark will be here. I think Coby might be joining him. Then on Wednesday, we're going to have Clark and Chaos will be returning here on Wednesday as well, along with Anthony Ricciardi. And then on Thursday, of course, we have Throwback Thursday with Anthony and Clark. And it's a May the 4th special, I believe. And then on Friday, I will be back normal time. And, of course, we're going to have to start previewing Backlash at that point. But thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like and subscribe on Spotify, 5 stars, and give us a follow. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching, guys. Enjoy your week.